Hey everybody, this is your man Will H. the Cinephile, and welcome back. And the Oscars have come to an end, and Anora emerged as the night's biggest winner, taking home Best Editing, Best Directing, Original Screenplay, Actress in a Leading Role, and ultimately Best Picture. On Letterboxd, I gave Anora immense praise, and at the time, I genuinely hoped it would win Best Picture. But something changed in me after experiencing Brady Corbet's The Brutalist in IMAX. Deep down, I thought I would have been happy with Anora's win. When I first saw it, I was overwhelmed. So much so that I walked out of the theater considering it an instant favorite, a perfect 10 out of 10 film. But The Brutalist altered my perspective. Even though I rated the film a 9 out of 10, I now firmly believe it deserved Best Picture and Director. That's not to take away from Lenore, which is an extraordinary, beautifully crafted dramedy that I would describe as a Cinderella story. But The Brutalist is something else entirely. Like, Anora is a film that completely immerses you in Annie's world. It's intricate, raw, and full of emotion. We see the life of a sex worker unfold in the first act, her routine and her struggles. Then, then everything shifts when she encounters a Russian delinquent. At first, it seems like she found something real, love, companionship, something outside of the life she's always known. But the brilliance of this film is in its brutal honesty. We are stuck in Annie's world of denial as she convinces herself that this man is the one, but deep down we all know he isn't. He's just another fleeting presence, a man who wanted a temporary thrill, nothing more. And the film's ending solidified its power. Annie returning to what she knows best, tries to regain control, tries to revert to her old ways, but something inside her breaks. She collapses in tears on one of the Russian bodyguards, and in that moment we see a woman desperate to reclaim her dignity, to find something real beyond the transactional relationships that have defined her life. That was a gut punch of an ending, a moment that resonated with me deeply. But despite Honora's brilliance, the Brutalist lingers in my mind. Like there is a grand, almost impossible quality to The Brutalist. It's an independent film that carries the weight of an epic. We barely get films like this anymore. The kind of film that reminds you why cinema exists. The only real comparison I can make in terms of sheer ambition and scale and film length is Lawrence of Arabia, one of my favorite Best Picture winners of all time. Not in terms of story, but in length and in grandeur and in the feeling of witnessing something that transcends the modern landscape of filmmaking. The Brutalist is a post Holocaust story about an architect, but at its core, it's about the darker side of the American dream. It's long, vivid, and emotionally draining in a way, and deeply rewarding. But it should have won Best Picture and Best Director. Films of this magnitude, 3.5 hour epics that demand an intermission, are a dying breed, and that's why The Brutalist deserved to win, in my opinion. And Adrian Brody's second Oscar win was well deserved. And I was thrilled that the film won cinematography and score. But um, that wasn't enough. We no longer get films reminiscent of Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur, or other grand-scale masterpieces, and The Brutalist was a rare modern example of what kind of monumental of that kind of monumental storytelling. And I have to acknowledge something personal here. Honora was my first Palme d'Or winner that I ever saw on the big screen. And months later, here I am witnessing it win Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, that is insane. Like, when I first heard about the film, um, I hounded my best friend, my fellow cinephile Nick, for weeks, begging him to take me to see it. I didn't care how far we had to go. I needed to experience it on the big screen, and when we finally did, it was worth it. I fell in love with the film almost instantly. At first, I was worried I wouldn't connect with it as deeply as I wanted to, but I was quickly proven wrong. I was completely immersed. Honora is visually beautiful, emotionally intricate, and a perfectly directed film. Mikey Madison's Oscar winning performance was phenomenal, an achievement I praised endlessly on Letterboxd. But here's where my feelings become complicated. When Honora won Best Picture, I didn't feel that overwhelming surge of excitement like I did when Oppenheimer won last year. And um, for those who know me, for those who follow my letterbox reviews, for those who watched my video introducing my top 4 favorite films, you all already know the impact that Dune Part 2 has had on me. It is a film that represents everything I love about cinema. It may not have been an indie darling, but Dune Part 2 is the epitome of what blockbuster filmmaking should be. It's a true adaptation of Frank Herbert's novel, a film that elevates the source material rather than just translating it. Every element, its imagery, its performances, its direction, is masterful. And my man Denis Villeneuve crafted a once in a lifetime cinematic experience, and yet the Academy snubbed him. That infuriated me, but at the same time, it was bound to happen. And I have to say that I saw this on opening premiere with my cousin Justin in Epic XL, and then twice more in IMAX. That's how much this film means to me. It was the first film I ever felt the urge to revisit on the biggest screen possible. And even now, I watch it twice a week. Ever since I obtained the Blu-ray copy the same night it was released on a physical copy. That's how deeply it ingrained in me. For me, this movie this movie was a revelation, and it should have won Best Picture and Best Director, period. And deep down, despite my frustrations, I can acknowledge the triumphs of independent filmmakers this year. Sean Baker crafted a raw, intimate look into the life of a sex worker with Honora, and Corbet gave us The Brutalist, a haunting post-Holocaust film that explores the American dream's darker side. And Coralie Farge blew me away with The Substance, a masterful entry in the body horror genre. Even though I didn't love the ending, I respect its impact. And for I have I struggle to pronounce his name, but Jacques Audiard delivered masterful direction, even if this music even though his musical itself was a convoluted mess. Like, these filmmakers brought something fresh and unique to the industry, and while I still wish Dune Part 2 won, I can't deny the power of these films. And at the end of the day, I want to express my gratitude. Denis Villeneuve, you changed my life. Prisoners solidified my desire to become a filmmaker, and your work continues to inspire me. Even though you were snubbed, you remain one of my all time favorite directors. If it were up to me, Dune Part 2 would have won Best Picture, Director, and Adapted Screenplay because you achieved the impossible, turning one of the most intricate novels into a perfect cinematic experience. And to Sean Baker and Brady Corbet, I just want to say thank you. Honora and The Brutalist gave me unforgettable cinema going experiences. These films reminded me of the power of independent filmmaking, and for that I am grateful for you guys. The Oscars may be over, but the impact of these films will stay with me forever. So, there you have it, my fellow cinephiles, about my post Oscars reaction. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and also follow my letterbox. And yes, I will be posting my review of on my letterbox review of Honora in the link in the description. So just in case if I don't see you guys again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.